important pillars in the supply chain and are used to store inventory, right? And warehouses have been around uh, since the inception of human civilization, and we have seen examples of granaries in even Harappa and Indus Valley civilization where they used to store their food, right? So different kinds of warehouses serve different kinds of purposes. There are warehouses which store material for a very long period of time. There are cold storages which store food. There are warehouses which are flow through warehouses. When I say flow through warehouses, when the material comes in these warehouses, it gets dispatched by in the same day by evening. So within 12 hours or 18 hours kind of a thing. So to operate any business where you're supplying any manufacturing item, may it be clothes, may it be FMCG products like soaps, shampoos, may it be gold and jewelry, crude and derivatives, electronics, any item that gets manufactured, the supply chain needs a warehouse in one form or the other. And that is the domain in which we operate, which is warehouse automation. And I'm going to touch here the aspect of human robot collaboration, which is basically the pillar around which all our products have been made and all our products function. So, since time immemorial, as we have discussed, warehouse has been there since the inception of human civilization. The other thing that has been there since time immemorial is labor, right? Human labor. So we all are aware of how in ancient Egypt or in the Great Wall of China, humans used to do a lot of arduous tasks to complete these civilization marks, right? So that these marks could stay behind even when the civilization is long gone and show what they were capable of at that point of time. Coming back to 21 centuries later, not much has changed for human labor. So if you go to a warehouse in India or a godown in India, so typically a godown is also a small warehouse which is smaller than 30,000 or 20,000 square feet, where you stack items one over the other. So if you see image one, typically that's how a godown will be, where you store the material on a floor, right? So not much has changed for labor in these warehouses, even in this 21 centuries. And that is not really the way in which a job should be designed. So in any warehouse, wherever you go, you will always find humans doing arduous, strenuous tasks. What are these tasks? Lifting of heavy loads. So in warehouse, people typically lift up to 50, 60 kgs day in, day out, every hour of the day, and store these material at height, store these material at different storage locations at different areas. The second arduous task that people do is walking long distances. So today we have warehouses which are called distribution centers by e-commerce industry and organized retail industry, which are spread across 3 acres, 4 acres, 5 acres. And in these warehouses, typically the picker or the operator who picks up the items walks very long distances. So on an average, a picker in any organized retail or an e-commerce warehouse would walk up to 15 kilometers a day, right? The third arduous task is moving material at height. So people go for mezzanine structure. So mezzanine is a plastic or a metal, not plastic. Mezzanine would be a metal roof on which you can build another structure. So typically in a warehouse which would be 12 meters or 18 meters high, you could build 3, 4 mezzanines and then store material utilizing the height of the warehouse. Now, in a manual structure, people would typically climb stairs on these mezzanines and then would store material on that mezzanine storage. So that is also a strenuous task. Imagine people climbing stairs up and down for 8 hours a day, storing material for 8 hours a day. And then incorrect ergonomic posture, where people have to stand, where people have to stand for 8 hours a day, picking up items, picking up heavy loads, or people have to move continuously from point A to point B for 8 hours a day, right? These people typically do not get more than 15 minutes break or a 30 minutes break in these 8-hour shifts. So if you see, this is the level at which the warehouses have been operating, and this is the kind of work that humans have been made to do. All these tasks, if you see at the end of the day, have some few things common in between them. They are repetitive tasks. They are very arduous, Any human doing these tasks cannot do this task for more than 30 to 45 days. And typically, this is what you will observe in these warehouses. Every 30 to 45 days, the manpower keeps on changing, right? The manpower keeps on rotating. And that is what, this is one of the motivations that we got when we observe warehouses, when we observe the kind of tasks that were being done in the warehouses, to start this company Adverb and to create the kind of products that we have done. If you see what is the outcome of such manual labor in warehouses and factories, there are more than 3 million accidents, workplace accidents that happen in a year, right? And this corresponds to almost 6,000 deaths in a day. And what is the top? What are some of the top causes which cause these work-related injuries, right? So one is overexertion and bodily reaction. So if somebody has to lift 50 kgs a day for 8 hours a day, obviously his back is going to his back is not going to or his spine is not going to function for long, and that is what essentially happens. These people develop hand pain, neck pain, back pain, leg pain over a period of time. Sometimes they slip, sometimes they trip, sometimes they fall, resulting in accidents or bodily injuries. And then when they are operating with equipments or heavy machines, sometimes they also come in contact with these equipments and machines, leading to fatalities in extreme cases. So I'll just take you through a video of how overexerted. So in warehouses, there are machines which allow you to reach up to different heights, or which allow you to transport material from point A to point B. These are called material handling equipments. So we will just see a video where an overexerted driver uh, causes an accident in a warehouse. So you can see he's driving an MHE, which is a material handling equipment, and he's obviously overexerted. And this impact creates a big disaster in this warehouse, right? And typically, this would not happen with only one hit or one impact. What happens over a period of time is these kind of impacts. So the warehouse storage racks, right, or the warehouse storage structure keeps on getting impacted by such small incidents over a period of time, and subsequently this leads to a larger accident like what we saw. So industrial hazard is also because of the way the labor interacts, or the way the task of the humans are designed in warehouses. So one of the thing that we genuinely believe in is the pride of the labor. As we have already seen, the present jobs at warehouses are arduous, right? It requires a lot of physical effort. It requires a lot of physical pain. There is no future growth. So a warehouse operator who is picking items on day one, let's say if he is able to serve through 20, 25 years of the same service, he will still be picking items in the warehouse. Or a loading, unloading labor who is lifting heavy material on day one, after 10 years or 15 years of his service, he will still be lifting loads and storing them at heights at different locations in the warehouse. There is no scope for skill development. So typically in any job, or the basic structure of capitalism says that when you enter a job, you grow specialization, and then through this growth or through this specialization, you can command a higher salary. So the entire concept of skill comes into the picture, and that is why people are encouraged to pick up different skills which can increase their market value. But for such jobs or for such people in warehouses, typically there is no scope for skill development, and these kind of operators keep on working at minimum wages salaries, which are rock bottom in a country like India. And then obviously there is the possibility of injuries, there is the possibility of workplace hazard. So as an organization, we very deeply believe that any kind of job should evoke a sense of pride in whomsoever is performing that task. So the Monday morning blues should not be focused for only Adverb or its employees, but even the warehouse workers or the operators who are turning up in warehouse should not have the Monday morning blues. And they should be looking forward to their work. They should be looking forward in working in such warehouses. And that's what Adverb does. We touch lives by pioneering human robot collaboration. So, how do we touch lives? We touch lives by improving the life of the operator who is working in warehouses, by making his job more easier, by adding more skill in his job, by allowing him to exercise more creativity in his job. We touch lives of the end customer by enabling same day deliveries or half day deliveries. Uh, since 10 minutes delivery is the new fad, I would like to put a disclaimer that there is no automation required for 10-minute delivery of grocery. But yes, when you have to deliver groceries on same day or when you have to deliver groceries within 12 hours, you would need automation. It is not possible manually. So you are delivering a higher value proposition to the customer through organized retail, or for handling large number of SKUs, you would require automation. When you're looking for a higher throughput, you would require automation. And that's how we are touching lives of end customer through automation, right? And what we believe is that there has to be the best of both worlds, right? So why human robot collab? Why our products focus on human robot collaboration? Because our intent is not to replace humans. We don't want to do that. So the popular myth is that that robotics and automation is going to replace humans. No, that's not going to happen. But robotics and automation is going to make this collaboration. But robotics is going to have this collaboration with humans, which is going to make jobs easier, which is going to give an opportunity to businesses to expand aggressively, and which is going to help the distribution of wealth across the society. And that's what we very strongly believe in. We believe that fundamentally robotics can help us in moving material inside the warehouse in a different way, and that will benefit humans, that will benefit all the stakeholders. And that is what our vision is: touching lives by pioneering human robot collaboration. Now, how do we do it? So typically we will just see two videos of how human and robot how our robots collaborate with humans to make warehouses more easier to operate and to make the job of an operator more easier. So first we will see a manual system of how material would traditionally be moved in a warehouse through a manual system. So you can see that a picker would need to carry this heavy load through different MHEs. These are called hand operated pickup trucks. There are battery operated pickup trucks as well. Though these machines are equipped to not let the load get transferred to the person to that extent, but still it's an arduous task to carry such material for long distances in warehouses. Now, what do we have for this product? We have Dynamo, which is our autonomous mobile robot, which is based on LiDAR technology, and it is powered by natural navigation. So what typically happens is this Dynamo creates a 3D map of the environment and communicates with the warehouse control system, which allocates the task of moving material from point A to point B to this Dynamo. And then this robot navigates the path on its own. So we will just see how Dynamo works. So Dynamo can carry up to 1500 kg of load, and it just needs to be given a command of where does it have to put the load. And it can travel up to 2 meters per second typically. So this basically helps in easy transportation of material, right? Now, in order to operate a fleet of Dynamo, you would still need people, right? But yes, the nature of job of those people would have changed. The nature of job of those people would be now to maintain this robot, to do preventive maintenance, to ensure that the robot uptime is there, to ensure that the fleet is operating properly, to ensure that any kind of interruptions that come in integration of different interfaces of the hardware and software are taken care of, right? But you will still need humans who would work with these fleet of robots in a warehouse. Yes, you would not need humans to move material from point A to point B, for which our bodies or for which humans were never made of. But the kind of job that Dynamo will create will be a higher skilled job, would be a job that would require more creativity and would require more problem solving skill. Similarly, we have another line of robot called sorting robots. So typically what happens in any warehouse, which is a flow through warehouse or any fashion and lifestyle warehouse, is you get parcels or packets or fashion items packed. And then you sort these items as per delivery routes or dispatch routes based on the kind of stores or the end customer that they have to go through. So one process is that manually a person can read the item and sort these items in bags or chutes. The other option is that we could probably use a robot, which we use. In our case, it is called Zippy, which is the blue colored robot that you can see right now. And typically, these robots have an optical scanner at the bottom, and there are QR codes which are fixed on the floor. And the packet just only needs to be dropped on the robot, and the robot searches the destination to which it has to go and drops the packet. So, what happens is you do not need people to do this task, which is a non-value adding task at the end of the day. It is a repeatable task that can be automated and does not require much skill to be done. So we'll just see how. So this is how manual sortation happens. So you can see the person is picking up the items and storing it in different bags as per the dispatch route or orders. This is a very inefficient process, and the person can also become fatigued or feel tired after a point of time. And this is how a robot would typically perform that task. Once you put the item on the robot goes and drops it at the destination. And then another robot, which is Quadron, picks up these items and then sends it to its destination, right? So typically, if you see the pattern, any place where you need to move material or any repetitive task which does not require a lot of skill is the task that we focus on to automate through our products. So the question is, what do humans do in such case? Now, these packets do require final packing, final finishing. These packets do require sometime packing before the sortation. And this job requires creativity. This job requires judgment. This job requires skill. And that's where humans typically work with sorting robots, where they do the prerequisite of creating a package, or probably a post requisite of once the package has been received to finally pack it as per the destination requirement. So yes, again, the nature of job has changed, but the job has become more skillful. The job has become less strenuous. One of the robots that we have is Quadron. So typically what happens in warehouse, in order to handle load, there are two unit of load handling available. One is a palletized load. So a wooden pallet is basically a 1200 mm by 800 mm square, on which you can store heavy load up to 1000 kg or 1500 kg. But what happens if you want to store material which are not so heavy? You basically use cartons, or you can also use crates. Crates are same blue colored crates on which if you go to a milk shop in the morning, you would typically see milk packets being kept. So you store material like soaps, etc. in those crates as well. Now, if you want to handle such crates or cases in a warehouse manually, this is how you do it. You store cartons or cases. So you can see that these blue colored items are pallets on which cases are or cartons are kept, and a picker has to pick boxes or cases from these areas and put them on the material handling equipment. So you can see there's a lot of bending involved, there's a lot of lifting, heavy load is involved, which is again a strenuous task if you have to do it for 8 hours a day. If you have to do it for 15 to 30 minutes a day, it is still understandable. But if you want to do it for 8 hours a day, it's still a task. This is crates. So you can see these are typically crates in which, so these crates are kept at different locations in which materials or items are kept and stored in warehouses. So this is a way to handle cases or cartons. Now, if you are doing manual operations, you would be able to pick up 40 to 50 cartons at max in an hour, right? So if you are doing a manual operation where you are going to the material, you would be able to pick up at max, if you're very efficient, 50 cartons per hour. And as the day progresses, that productivity will keep on falling down for obvious reasons because of human fatigue. We have developed a product or a robot called Quadron, which basically runs on special tracks, as you can see in the image. And it helps in storage and retrieval of such crates or cartons. And through this, so I'll just show you the functioning of this carton first, this robot first, and then we can discuss on the product and what are its functionalities. So it has a fork mechanism through which it can retrieve the crates kept in storage area. And then it can travel with the crate to the respective point. So this is important, goods to person. So what happens is these crates come out, and then their humans are there who can pick the respective items items from these crates. So let's say if there are soaps kept in these crates, humans can pick up soap from these crates, pack them and dispatch them, and these crates can go back again to their storage. Now, how many crates would a human be able to address through such system? 300 to 500. So you can see in a manual system, he would be able to touch 30 to 50 crates if he's doing it manually. But in case of an automated system like Quadron, which is a goods to person, why we are calling it goods to person is because the person is standing or sitting at the same location, and the crate is being brought to the person rather than person moving and going to the crate. And that is where the person can only pick up the item, and he's able to touch up to 300 to 500 items in an hour, which is almost a 10-time gain on productivity. So what does this do? This helps organization to scale up their businesses fast. So if organizations want to react to competitive pressures, or if the organization want to launch a new business model, this can actually help organization to scale up their businesses very fast. We have deployed this product for grocery delivery at customers like Flipkart, Unilever, Reliance. We have deployed this product outside India with customers like Adidas, and in India for other applications with customers like Lenskart, etc. Now, typically what happens in a warehouse is we are coming to another product called Cruiser, which is our pallet shuttle robot. So what typically happens is that in any warehouse, the basic level is the level on which you store the material one above the other on ground. So if you would have gone to a godown, which is a warehouse smaller than 25-30,000 square feet, you would typically see materials being stored one upon the other. The second level is where you create racks, which we see in this image, and then you store material on these racks, right? So this is called racking or selective racking. Now, once you do this racking, you have to leave space in between so that a material handling equipment like a stacker in this image can go and retrieve material from these racks. Now, the problem is, one, you will have to leave a lot of space in the warehouse, which leads to wastage of space. And second, since this storage and retrieval is a manual process, it is a very dangerous process. So we'll just see how this process is actually done.
Already up, and he put a pallet the next.
So if you can see that the person is retrieving some pallets for storage operations, and since it has not been stacked properly, this results in an accident. So first, you are losing your space. Second, manual stacking is always a very risky job where even a single wrong action can lead to an accident. So we have a product called Cruiser, which is basically a pallet shuttle, which runs on special tracks. So these are special tracks you can see on which Cruiser runs, and it helps in storage and retrieval of pallet load. So just like So just like in carton shuttle, we saw storage and retrieval of carton or case load. In case of pallet shuttle, we can see storage and retrieval of pallet load. Now, if you see, this allows compact or dense storage. So once the material has been brought out by the pallet shuttle, it can be picked up by the forklift operator. So the forklift operator does not need to go inside the storage structure and do the heavy lifting. Now, how does it benefit in terms of space utilization? So if you see, this is conventional racking where you need to provide space in between for material handling equipments to move and store and retrieve the material. Now this space you typically lose out, but in a dense racking system, sorry, you lose out. So if you see, this is the space that you lose out in a conventional racking system, right? But if you use a pallet shuttle robot and go for dense racking, you can utilize this entire space as the shuttle will go and store and retrieve the material. So this typically increase your space utilization by almost 100%. So if you were storing, let's say 100 pallets in a particular area, and if you use this solution, you'll be able to store 200 pallets. And this helps. So there is a process of first in, first out, which is typically followed in factories and warehouses, where the logic is that the items that have been manufactured first need to be dispatched first from factories. And that is where, so you can see through a sensor, it automatically judges where it has to stop and where it has to start. It interacts with the software, which gives the command as to where it has to store the SKU or the item. It helps in operating the algorithm of first in, first out in warehouses. So typically in a beverage industry, this kind of robot is very much in demand, which has less number of stock keeping unit. So a stock keeping unit is basically a minimum indivisible unit of a stock. So let's say if there is a Dove soap, which comes in 100-gram size, and there are two flavors, mint and vanilla. So it will have two SKUs, a 100-gram mint Dove and a 100-gram vanilla Dove. So where you have less number of SKUs, typically in a soft beverage industry, you have less number of SKUs. You have only 100 ml, 300 ml, half liter, and 1 liter bottles. You have only 4 SKUs, and you strictly have to follow first in, first out. Cruiser or pallet shuttle robot is one of the most used robots. Now, what happens when you want to go higher in your warehouse? So typically when you're using a manual system, you talk about square feet. So just like I was talking in square feet, what kind of, so any warehouse which is storage area of less than 25,000 square feet is a go down. But if you have the freedom to utilize the height of the warehouse, you will start seeing the warehouse in terms of cubic feet storage, which is very important, which unlocks basically the height of the warehouse and allows you to use it for storage. Typically, with the real estate cost going up, the rentals per square feet of the warehouse also go up. And at the end of the day, you're paying the price for the entire building. So that is when a lot of organizations decide to go higher. And when they decide to go much higher, a semi-automated system or a manual system is not a very safe system and is also very time consuming. So you can see this warehouse is almost 15 meters high, and there's a lot of time that is being taken by the MHE operator, obviously for safety reasons, to retrieve a particular pallet load. Now, What we provide instead of this manual system is an automated storage and retrieval system, which is basically a stacker crane or a stacker crane robot which runs on rail. It has a fork mechanism attached to it, which does the storage and retrieval of the pallet. And this system does not require any manual intervention. Again, it interacts with a warehouse control system, which is the software which gives the command as to where it has to store the material and where it has to retrieve it. It has a camera installed on it, which reads the barcode of a particular location and gets to know of the location where it is present. So this is how an automated storage and retrieval system works. So this is the forking mechanism that retrieves the pallet. Now you can see the speed with which this moves and allows for storage and retrieval of pallet. This can work 24/7. This does not require any human intervention. And this increases your throughput almost 10 times as compared to a manual system. So this is a fully automated system that is used, that can go up to 40-meter high and is used for storage and retrieval of pallets in industries. Another product that we have is Decimeter, which is the UV robot that we built. So when Corona hit the country in March 2020 and the first lockdown was announced, we felt how we could probably help the frontline workers who are there on the field and are fighting this COVID battle, to say. And at that time, we got to know about the UV lights, which basically kill 99.9% of the virus, COVID virus. And we integrated this UV light on our Dynamo robot and created a software where the robot, when it does not detect any human in its presence, activates the UV light and sanitizes the entire area. So basically, once a patient has been discharged from the ward, this decimeter robot can go into the ward and sanitize the room before the doctors or other health workers or other people enter into that room. This can also be used in hotel rooms, airports, railway stations, and offices to sanitize the premises when people have left, so that the probability of reinfection reduces multifolds. So this video shows how typically a manual sanitization would happen and how it would expose a health worker. So there's the traditional way of sanitizing any area or any place, but the limitation is that it can only sanitize surfaces. And this is how decimeter works. So this is our office premise. We have supplied this robot in US, in Philippines. We also gave it to UP government so that they could use it in their government hospital in Noida. So this is also one of the products that we have. Now, if you see about Adverb, we are probably one of the few hardware and software startup in India. So typically the startups or typically the companies prefer to operate in only software domain. but we make our own hardware. So all the robots that you have seen in the videos, we have a manufacturing facility in Noida, which is called Bot Valley, which was inaugurated last year, where which was inaugurated sometime early this year, where we make all these robots. So all the Dynamo, the Zippy, the Quadron, the Cruiser, the Multi-Pro, the ASRS that you saw, the Decimeter, we manufacture all these robots in-house, right? And also we develop the software that control and the firmware that controls and operates these robots in-house. So we have a development team which basically makes all the software interfaces required for these robots. Apart from this, there are three dedicated software products that we have. So one first is the warehouse management system. So basically a warehouse management system allows you to store your goods efficiently. So typically in a warehouse, different kinds of goods are stored at different locations, at different heights, at different accessibility. And you want to store the material which is most commonly used at the most accessible location. And over a period of time, based on the kind of sales that is happening, based on the kind of promotion that is happening, or based on seasonal demands, the items which are most in demand keep on changing. So a warehouse management system tracks these changes, tracks the kind of SKUs that are being shipped, tracks the kind of SKUs that are being used more frequently, and allows them and suggests the users in the warehouse as to where to store them. It keeps a track of the inventory, how much inventory is stored, how much inventory has been dispatched, how much inventory has been inwarded. So that is a warehouse management system. Second is a warehouse control system. So what happens typically is you have different kinds of hardware. You have automation systems like conveyors, sorters, etc. You have automation systems like robots, and then you have electromechanical machines like gantries and ASRS systems, etc. Now all these equipments or robots need to interact with one another, and that layer is called the warehouse control system. So a warehouse management system basically allows you to control your inventory in the warehouse, what kind of inventory is coming, what kind of an inventory is going out. While your machines are operating inside the warehouse, a warehouse control system helps you to track that inventory at different points of time inside the warehouse, right? Then we have a fleet management system, and this is a new platform that has come up, which basically, sorry, which basically allows you to control a fleet of robots, which basically allows you to control a large number of robots and keep the intelligence at a central location and distribute the task to different robots based on the condition at that time. Our fleet management system is hardware agnostic. When I say hardware agnostic, uh, we are VDA 50/50 protocol compliant. This basically means that our robot can be integrated with any other fleet management system available in the market. The interface allows that. At the same time, our fleet management system can also control robots with different hardware, and that is one of the USPs our fleet management system has. So this is about Adverb. This is about the kind of products and solutions that we make. Many times people have this myth that robots are going to replace humans. That's not going to happen. Uh, the way in which products are being designed, they are replacing tasks or they are replacing jobs that were very strenuous or very arduous for humans to begin with. But they are also creating new opportunities or jobs that are very creative for humans and that are going to be highly skillful. Yes, the nature of jobs is definitely going to change, and that is going to change for the good. The jobs are not going to exist in the manual form that we have seen right now. So that is what we do. Uh, we have more than 100 customers today, which includes companies from Fortune 500 to startup companies. And if any of you would like to see our robots in action, we would be more than glad to host you at our manufacturing facility, Bot Valley, and take you around to show you some of the robots. So that's about it. That's from my end. If there are any questions that you would have or anybody would have at this forum, I would be glad to take those questions and answer.
Yeah, so the floor is open for Q&A session now. So Rajeshri, please go ahead.
Yeah, hello. So basically, I have one question for you. Satish. So, what is the motivation behind like building your own hardware?
Rajeshri, you are not audible. Pop- Uh, there is some
Hello.
background noise. Yeah, now it's fine.
Yeah, yeah. Hi Satish. So awesome presentation by Advanced Technologies. So I have one question regarding hardware. Like, what is the motivation behind building your own hardware system? So can you please enlighten on that?
I'm sorry, Rajshri. I was not able to understand your question, Udayan. If you have probably got a hang of the question, could you repeat that for me?
No, actually, there was some background noise. I was also not able to get it. Maybe she can type it out in the
Yeah,
chat.
if you could do that, we could probably have a look at the chat and then answer your
Yeah,
question accordingly.
yeah. So anyone else who is having questions can go ahead. Yeah, let me just read out some of the questions from the chat. So
Okay.
Rajeshri is asking, what is the motivation behind creating own hardware, your own
Okay.
hardware? I guess.
So, if you see, there are two, three reasons which prompted us to make our own hardware. First was to obviously protect our IP, because if you have your own hardware, you can decide where the actual intelligence lies. Because you would typically be using, yeah, am I audible? Hello?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. You're audible.
Yeah. So you would typically be using a set of control cards, you would typically be using different controllers. And if you are manufacturing those controllers by yourself, you can choose to customize them to decide what kind of intelligence you want to keep on the hardware and what kind of intelligence you want to keep on the software or at the platform. Second, when we started manufacturing these products, a lot of functionalities that we wanted in the products were not available in the hardware that was available in the market at that point of time. And if we would have asked anyone to customize, it would not have been our IP in the first place. And second, it would have costed a lot. And the entire idea of starting an automation company or a robotics company in India was to democratize the technology. And until and unless you and if for any modification you have to depend on any other supplier who charges a bomb for that modification, you're not going to democratize the technology, because at the end of the day you will have to take that money back from the customer. So that was also one of the things that we were experiencing in the beginning. And third, we wanted to because see, the nature of the industry is very different. It's not like a normal soap, shampoo, or a typical Microsoft Windows kind of a software. The handling of the units at the customer end varies. It might not vary a lot, but it does vary, and the operation also varies. And if you manufacture your own hardware, you have the ability to customize that solution for the customer. And sometimes these small customizations actually make a lot of business sense for the customer. So these were some of the experiences that we had in our past role and some of the motivations behind to take the decision to manufacture our own hardware. So question is, what is the simulator used in the videos shown? I'm sorry, I have no idea, but I can check with the person who makes these simulations and get back to you.
Okay.
What qualities you expect from the candidate you want to join your organization apart from technical expertise? Okay, so we look for we look for a few things apart from the technical expertise that you have already mentioned in a candidate. One is passion. So the candidate, so typically when you join any startup or any organization which is trying to do something that has not been attempted before, you will experience a lot of failures. You will not have set precedents to turn to, right? Because you are attempting it for the first time, somebody has not attempted it, so those answers or those solutions are not available. And at that time when you're experiencing a lot of failure,